you all so much. I'm very excited to be here. So yes, I'm Julia Maddox. I'm from the University of Rochester. And 2 years ago, I left a career in the energy industry to be the founding director of the Barbara J. Berger iZone at the University of Rochester Libraries. Our mission? To help all University of Rochester students explore and imagine ideas for social, cultural, community, and economic impact. So how to send legions of creative, empowered problem solvers out into the world to make the world a better place, take on the world's toughest challenges. Very audacious and a little daunting, especially for someone coming from an industry whose vision was pretty much keep the lights on and don't kill anybody. I was a little intimidated, I'll admit it. So I was spending this time, as iZone was being built, as it was being designed and built, I was spending this time getting to know the campus culture where I was to bring this mission to life. And what I learned is that University of Rochester students, probably like most people of their generation, are extremely hardworking, extremely goal-oriented, extremely risk-averse, and very worried about the future. After all, they came up in an age where their parents were warning they'd have to work twice as hard for half the opportunities that they had had. Coming up after the recession and the dot-com boom, where risk-taking or experimentation seemed a lot more off-limits to them than it had for previous generations. So not only was I bringing this really serious mission to life in a very serious culture, I was doing it in this really serious physical environment. The University of Rochester has all those classic aspirational Ivy League tropes, right down to the beautiful, very austere academic library where iZone was to be housed. And I mean, look at this. It's like out of Harry Potter. I was totally intimidated by this. I used to be like, love story, like little boring Rising in Seattle, and this is like, what the hell is this? I can't handle that. I'm not cool enough. And I felt a lot better, though, when I found out that the students' affectionate nickname for it is the nipple of knowledge. I would also like to wager a bet that that is the first time the word nipple has been said at Ashoka. Maybe we'll confirm that later. So I was getting to know the culture, I was getting to know the campus, the mission, and I was also educating myself on how we could go about doing this, how we could take these very serious, hardworking students who are scared of risk and experimentation, except in controlled environments, how we could prepare them to be creative, to explore ideas that are new, untested, new combinations, new collaborations that may not be clear and may not align to a clear outcome. And we're going to do a little experiment based on something that I learned during that period of education. So first, I'd like everyone to give themselves a very quick self-assessment. How playful do you consider yourself to be? How whimsical, how silly, how playful are you? And to be helpful, we'll go ahead and use the Star Wars scale to align you. So, Darth Vader, like not at all playful, like super serious, right? 3 is like, Ewoks, they're mostly playful, but when it's time for battle, they're totally down. They'll grab their spear and off they go. And then Jar Jar Binks, he's so playful that true fans would just as soon write him out of the canon. So go ahead, give yourself a little mental, 1 through 5. Okay, thank you. Now, everybody should have, when they were sitting down, should have seen on their seat sticky notes and a marker. Please pull those out. If you don't have one, steal someone else's. Okay, so now what I want you to do is go ahead and scribble anything on each of those sticky notes, just really quickly. Shouldn't look like anything, some random thing. Yeah, there we go. Excellent, great job. Perfect. Now, go ahead and pass your sticky notes along all together. Someone to your neighbor, trade with someone else. You're not going to get them back. You don't care where they go. Just, yep, all of them. Hand them all over to someone else. Yeah, go ahead. Wonderful. And now, your job is to take each of those sticky notes that you just acquired and turn it into something recognizable. And I'm going to give you 10 seconds each. I'll tell you when to switch. To turn it into something recognizable. So we're going from a doodle that you have acquired into something remotely recognizable. All right, you're going to have 10 seconds each. I'll tell you when to switch. Go ahead. and switch. Go to your next card. So you have 10 seconds per Post-it. Go ahead and do the next Post-it. Okay, and now do your last Post-it. Turn it into something, anything recognizable. Fantastic, wrap it up. So out of curiosity, how many people found that extremely obnoxious and annoying and difficult to do? I won't be offended, it's okay. How many people found it a little difficult to do? Okay. How many people were like, oh, I got this? Yeah, there we go, okay. My showboats, I love it. So turns out, when you do this very same exercise, and many similar exercises in a research setting, people who believe themselves to be more playful, have a much easier time doing creative tasks like this. And the science is pretty much unified on this. Playful behavior, whether it's part of your inherent identity or something that you're able to do and flex into when the mood calls for it, it is inherently linked to our brain's ability to be creative. And we define creativity as the ability to discover new ideas and to find new and unusual combinations of those ideas. And when you do this with a kid, this is my 3-year-old Sam, clad in a dinosaur suit because he identifies as a T-Rex, so it's totally appropriate. It turns out when you do this sort of thing with a kid, they have the most easy time of all. In fact, it's only the children who come from environments that aren't conducive to play, where their basic needs aren't being met, that are stressful, who struggle to do creative tasks like this. Which is why at iZone, we decided we had to work very, very hard to make it easy for children. I think of myself and all of my colleagues as children, so that's a natural mistake. To temporarily suspend your identity as a hardworking student and enter into an environment where risk-taking is okay, where play is okay, not only okay, but encouraged. And seem a little bit odd to talk about play in the context of change-making. We work with very serious problems. It may even seem irresponsible to make time for play. But in fact, it may, according to the science, be essential if we're going to come up with the best ideas. Because play gives us this ability, this safe environment where the rules don't apply, where we suspend that fight or flight instinct that we have on all the rest of the time. And we're like, okay, I'm allowed to take risks. I'm allowed to be weird. I'm allowed to share my half-baked, totally oddball, weird ideas. And I know that, if anything, people will laugh. And when research is done about this, truly, if we don't have that mental time carved out for play, whether it's a solo activity or a group one, we are not giving ourselves that permission to experiment, to innovate, to create. Not only that, but play builds empathy and trust. When we take risks with one another, we grow to understand one another on a level that is more human, a connection that we all inherently have, no matter what differences may be. When we take those social risks with one another, it empowers us to go on and collaborate in much more higher stakes environments. I'll share a few of iZone's tried and true methods for infusing play into our work. This is by no means. There's a lot more to be on this subject, and I'd love to hear your own thoughts later. So when we play at iZone, it's not silly. It's very intentional. It's a lever for getting us to be creative and for getting us to think differently about the problems in front of us. We all sort of have that image of like the incubator with the sad, abandoned ping pong table in the corner that was supposed to get everyone have fun and do all that stuff. No, play has to be extremely intentionally manufactured, cared for, and fed to thrive within an organization. It can't just be about late night Amazon shopping binges, which I'm also very guilty of, as we were talking about yesterday. I buy a lot of our favorite crap on Amazon at midnight. And so we recently hosted a workshop on homelessness in Rochester at iZone. We invited members of the nonprofit community working on this very serious challenge into our space, and we had students collaborate with them to find for specific challenges around homelessness, a really difficult and weighty topic. So we knew that we had to find a way to prepare people to have fun and to turn off that part of their brain just enough that would allow them to experiment and create. So we started the day by having people come up with an analog Facebook wall. So they made their own little Facebook profiles, they doodled. It was silly, but I'm not an artist, and people were sharing facts about themselves that they wouldn't normally share in that type of environment. We often choose non-serious, low-stakes topics when we're teaching serious tools. In this image, a student is sharing her solution for making the dating experience on campus better for college students. Did a man sorting machine where a man would enter in and then be assessed on the dateability and either spit out one end or the other. And I'm not here to defend the idea, but they learned the tools for problem solving. They learned the tools for ideation and collaboration, but they did it in a way that didn't feel so important and high stakes. Environment, of course, whether or not you have a dedicated space, the use of tools, they send that signal to our brain that this is a space where the normal rules don't apply, where you can be a little weird, you can be a little different, where we're surprising you with the type of things you're going to encounter, and we expect to be surprised in return with the ideas you may bring to the table. We try to find opportunities to confront people in our space with whimsical, playful interventions that, A, send the signal that we're lo-fi, we're weird, we don't care, but also invite them to interact with us in a way that's quick and fleeting and momentarily turns off their brain and gets them to think about themselves as someone who sticks up a sticky dot for a Lego workshop, or let's see what else, a founder dating. I think we actually did that one. So last but most important, of course, is culture. You need to invest time to make a playful, fun, joyful environment possible. We recently gave our paid students, the opportunity to go on a safari challenge, our Museum of Play in Rochester. And we did have expectations for them there that they would learn about the environment and take back lessons learned to iZone to better improve our user experience. But we also saw it as an investment in our students' their joy, their ability to suspend their seriousness just for a moment and go out there and have an unexpected and non-mission critical experience. Sometimes it requires the burning of political capital, of budget, of resources, of time, but it is essential and it can't be sacrificed. And of course, you gotta model it. This is me. I'm sharing my least flattering, least favorite photo with you. We were prototyping a beach ball brainstorming activity that failed, by the way, so don't do it. Where allegedly you're supposed to toss the ball and then shout out a brainstorm and everyone has to do it or it can't touch the ground or whatever. You gotta talk the talk. You have to be the fun you wish to see in the world. Because truly, especially as leaders, people look up to us. And if we're so serious for 1 minute, we send that signal, that powerful signal to our team that this is a place where they take those risks. They can be playful. They can suggest things that may not be fully formed yet. And we will trust that together we can get it to a place where it will make meaning in the world. So as we wrap up, I'd like to ask each of you to challenge yourself to come up with one way that you can infuse play into your life right away. Here at Ashoka, you might consider attending Screw Up Nights, which my students are hosting tonight. A little plug there. Humor and sharing our failures is a wonderful way to play. And I hope that all of you will be able to find ways to be a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more like Jar Jar Binks. I can't believe I said that. And a little less like Darth Vader. Thank you so much.